Here's your wrestling news for December 19th, 2022. And we're kicking off today with Goldberg, who has had a handful of matches for WWE since 2016, as well as 2 reigns as WWE Universal Champion. Recently, it was reported that the WWE Hall of Famer had inked a new deal for more matches with the promotion, but those reports aren't true. It was reported that Goldberg's alleged new deal would be for 2 matches a year, with 5 matches guaranteed, and that 3 of the opponents would be names he's never faced before. It was added that the shows Goldberg would be working would be on WrestleManias and Saudi events, but those closest to him are denying the reports. When Fightful Select reached out to sources close to Goldberg, those sources said that any new deal would be news to his representatives who negotiate these kind of deals on his behalf. It was also noted that Goldberg's current WWE agreement runs through 2022, but that there are no matches remaining on it, and he will be a free agent at the end of this year if he doesn't re-sign. Goldberg may have a few matches left, but they have not been made official, and if he does wrestle, expect WWE to pay out a fortune to the former Universal Champion. Now next month will mark 3 years since Edge returned to the ring after a near decade-long retirement due to neck issues. The last time fans saw Edge was at the Extreme Rules Premium Live event where he lost to Finn Balor, but it won't be long until he's back in the ring. In Edge's most recent match, Balor threatened to concerto his wife Beth Phoenix, and according to Zero News, the Rated R Superstar is set to return at February's Elimination Chamber event. This is slightly later than what others are claiming, as there's a story going around of Edge returning in time for next month's Rumble show and facing Finn Balor inside Hell in a Cell. Zero said that they have not heard from anyone in WWE that a Cell match next month is the plan, and that it makes more sense for Edge to return in Elimination Chamber given that it's in Montreal. While Edge vs. Balor isn't planned for Hell in a Cell next month, it's been reported that a pitch black match will happen at the Royal Rumble, but that WWE's creative team are being left quite literally in the dark about what a pitch black match is. In his time away, Edge has been kept busy filming for the role as Ares, God of War, in the Disney Plus Percy Jackson series, but expect the Rated R Superstar back on our screens in 2 months' time. There was once a time when Patrick Clark seemed destined to be a huge star in WWE, but that was a long time ago for the former Velveteen Dream. After being released last year, the former NXT North American Champion was arrested in August of this year after allegedly biting and punching a gym employee. Now, TMZ have released footage from the arrest in which Clark denies the battery claim against him, saying that police should allow him to call his lawyer. On the drive to the station, Clark can be heard ranting at officers, admits to being a bit drunk, and claims that he was never read his Miranda rights. Despite his arrest coming over a year after his release, Clark calls himself a WWE wrestler and threatens that his lawyer will file a lawsuit, which to this date has not happened. After being charged with misdemeanors of trespassing and battery, Clark pled not guilty and was freed from jail after posting a $1,200 bond. After the alleged victim opted not to press charges, Clark did not face any future punishment, but the ex-superstar's dream of returning to wrestling becomes less and less likely with incidents like these. Ever since Mandy Rose was released from WWE, there's been talk about the nature of exclusive content and the wrestlers who charge fans to see photos and videos. It has been reported that Mandy was earning more online than she was as a WWE NXT superstar, and she's not the only one raking in the big bucks. According to a report from Fightful Select, CJ Perry, aka Lana, is doing very well with her Brand Army account and is making more than even her best year in WWE. There's no specifics on how much Perry is making, but given that she was with WWE for years and was released partly because of her extremely high-dollar contract, she's clearly doing very well online. Since her 2021 release, Perry has kept clear of the ring, and when you realize that she earns more to sit in her own house rather than travel and risk injuries, it's not hard to see why. As for Mandy Rose, she is currently subject to a 90-day non-compete clause, meaning she can't appear for any other wrestling company, but with how much she's making online, there may be no point in her wrestling again. For years, Arn Anderson has worked as part of AEW, imparting his decades of wisdom onto the wrestlers of today and the future stars of tomorrow. Anderson has been an asset for Tony Khan in these early years of AEW, but all good things must come to an end. On the latest episode of his Arn podcast, Anderson revealed that he plans on retiring when his current contract expires, which it will in 18 months' time. Speaking about his son Brock, Anderson that said while he believes Brock doesn't get enough TV time right now, it's simply because the roster is so big and it's nothing Brock himself has done. Arn said that Jon Moxley has taken a big interest in Brock and wants to help him get on TV more, and having the former world champion in your corner is a huge step in the right direction for Brock Anderson. As for Arn, his career as a horseman and later working backstage in WWE and AEW has been a run many wrestlers would be envious of, but it'll come to an end in 18 months' time. Back to WWE now, and when a superstar is called up to the main roster, it can often be hit or miss. For every Shield debut or Kevin Owens attacking John Cena on his first night, there's an Ascension, a Retribution, or a Lars Sullivan, but WWE hopes to change this. While speaking on ad-free shows, Road Dogg Jesse James spoke about NXT call-ups and said there are plans to improve the transition to the main roster. Yeah, so all of the above, to be quite honest with you, because there's not a strict, streamlined process, especially now that Hunter is in charge of the creative. He understands much more about giving fair warning, so you can write the person out or write the person off or however you're going to do it. It gives you time to prepare creatively for that. I like a heads up. Giving the NXT creative team a heads up is certainly beneficial to the Gold brand and allows the main roster creative more time to think of the right call-up. With NXT brimming with talent, fans can expect plenty of call-ups in the new year, but at least NXT will have the chance to give these superstars a proper send-off. Now, Kurt Angle is one of the greatest wrestlers to ever enter the ring, but his years of competing have taken a toll on the Olympic gold medalist. A lifetime of heavy bumps have left Kurt hurting, and recently, the WWE Hall of Famer admitted himself to a hospital to deal with the pain. On social media, Angle shared a photo from his recent trip, informing fans that he has received back injections that should ease his pain. Kurt was all smiles in the photo, so it seems to have gone well for him, and gave a thumbs up to his followers on Twitter. Angle was on SmackDown the other week for his birthday and looked to be in great shape, but the Olympian has been hurting for a long time, and we hope that these back injections will help. Now, as a legend of wrestling and a bona fide celebrity, it's no wonder that The Undertaker is the subject of parody online, but one account recently fell afoul of the FBI. In recent reports on Twitter, it was noted that one account, Pissed Off Taker, was taken down by the FBI, seemingly for mocking the WWE Hall of Famer. According to David Bixenspan, the account usually posts about The Undertaker soiling himself and blaming it on an imaginary character, as he writes, "I've been pretty clear on my thoughts of the Twitter files, but why was the FBI's San Francisco office asking Twitter to suspend an Undertaker parody account that generally tweeted about The Undertaker shitting his pants and blaming it on an imaginary entity named Mr. Brown? The Phenom himself hasn't addressed the account, which was said to have violated Twitter's terms of service, and time will tell if it is ever allowed to return." During last week's Raw, Asuka's teased transformation saw her appear without her traditional face paint and use a blue mist during her match with Rhea Ripley. This mist wasn't aimed at Ripley though, instead it was aimed at Dominik Mysterio, who has been selling the effects of the attack. At a WWE live event in Rochester, fans noticed that Mysterio was wearing sunglasses for his entrance and had to be assisted by Finn Balor to help him make his way to the ring. While superstars in WWE have been on the receiving end of Asuka's green mist, this was the first we've seen of the blue mist, and it clearly has much longer lasting effects. It was at Survivor Series War Games that Rhea Ripley took the green mist, something she'll hope to avoid now with the change of color, and we're curious how Asuka's character, like the color of her mist, will change in the coming weeks. More from AEW, and MJF is a name that's impossible to miss in the promotion, as fans can see him each week on Dynamite. Now the AEW World Champion, MJF's appearances on the show have only become more significant, but things weren't always this way for the Devil himself. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, MJF recalled being sat in the crowd for shows which had to go ahead without live fans, a waste of MJF's talents, according to the champ. People might not remember this, but after my feud with Cody Rhodes in 2020, I was sat out. Literally, I had to sit behind the guardrail. I sat beside Shawn Spears and Shawn Dean and Sonny Kiss and all these other people, and I had to sit there and watch the shows. I remember thinking to myself, are you guys stupid? I'm literally the biggest star here. What's happening here? Between March 11th and May 13th, 2020, MJF did not wrestle at all, and it was shocking for AEW to not use arguably the biggest heel in wrestling active today. Now MJF is back in the ring and the reigning AEW World Champion, and expect that title to be a factor when his contract is up for renewal in early 2024. Earlier this year, Gunther was called up to WWE's main roster and quickly captured the Intercontinental Championship. Defeating Ricochet in June, the Ring General has shown no signs of slipping and is on the cusp of reaching a major milestone. If Gunther reaches the December 30th SmackDown, he'll become the longest-reigning Intercontinental Champion in a decade, breaking Shinsuke Nakamura's record of 201 days. After that, Gunther's next milestone will be 236 days, which is how long Cody Rhodes held the title from 2011 to 2012 before losing to The Big Show at WrestleMania 28. It was reported last week that the plan is for Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 39, and right now, the Austrian is focused on walking into Los Angeles as the Intercontinental Champion. Now, Kevin Nash is a legendary name in wrestling and spent years competing for WWE, and now the two-time Hall of Famer has been doing something with the company. During the latest episode of Click This, Nash said how he recently worked a 6-hour day for WWE, but didn't specify what exactly he's been doing with the promotion. In all likelihood, Nash was probably filming content for the WWE Network, and given his influential career, there's plenty that can be said about him. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled for when Nash is next on our screens, but the 7-footer is cooking up something with WWE. Recently, wrestling legend Barry Windham suffered a serious heart attack that nearly cost him his life and earned him a trip to the ICU. The 62-year-old suffered the heart attack while traveling through the Atlanta airport, but this scary ordeal could have turned fatal if not for the intervention of a complete stranger. As Arn Anderson explained on his Ask Arn live podcast, it was a passerby at the airport who first noticed Windham's condition and immediately gave him CPR. Arn said that this stranger certainly saved Windham's life and hopes that someone can identify this angel so they can be properly repaid. Bray Wyatt has identified the person as Michael Todd Lalick and has properly thanked them for saving his uncle's life in an emotional video shared on Instagram. Now Windham is said to be out of the ICU and recovering, and we're grateful that Mr. Lalick was there to save Windham's life in Atlanta. That's our news for today, guys. Please watch our previous video, 15 WWE wrestlers who passed away in 2022.